In today's video, I'm going to react to some stories from Reddit/sports betting. And the perspective that I want to give you is one of a gambling addict because I'm Rob and I made my last bet November the 12th, 2022. I am in recovery from a gambling addiction. So as we go through these stories, I hope that I can help you to understand what the hell was going on in the brain of the person that did whatever it is that they did. But before I dive into that, I have just one favor to ask from you. There's so many of you that are regularly watching this channel, but you haven't yet hit that subscribe button. Do me the favor of hitting that subscribe button. And my promise to you is that I'm going to continue to work hard each and every day to spread the message that gambling addiction is real.
ThrowawayOne Start is a user who started off pretty tame and eventually ended up digging himself into a few $100,000 hole by sports betting. His first post on Reddit came 5 years ago when he was looking to invest in a restaurant in Manhattan. A lot of users would tell him, yo, this is a pretty risky investment. But little did they know, this was nothing compared to the investments he would be making in the future. He ended off the year by making a post to the Robinhood subreddit, wondering if it was possible to buy stock options after hours. With
Oh, you know this is going to be bad then. The restaurant seems like such a good idea compared to buying options. We're talking options that are probably like coin flip between going completely broke to 500% gains.
zero replies, he decided that it was time to take a break from Reddit. Well, flash forward to November 21st of 2024, ThrowawayOne took his talents on over from Robinhood to DraftKings.
This is something that we saw happen just after the pandemic, where a lot of people actually moved from investing because all the sports were off to gambling when the sports came back on, like the NBA bubble coming back. Saw a ton of people starting to sports bet.
Pittsburgh Steelers had a game that night, and for some reason, he felt like he was about to make a whole lot of money. He loaded up on 4 different parlays and one straight bet. He put up a grand total of $6,184. He just needed Najee Harris and Russell Wilson to pull through and everything would be a-okay. Well, they both did pretty good, but not good enough to get that chicken dinner. That being said, every single one of his bets lost. Throughout 5 different bets, he decided to moneyline the Steelers on every single one, which obviously didn't work out too well for him.
That's something that I did a lot as a gambling addict myself, is like consistently putting the same event in different bets and then getting mad when that would break up different bets. Yeah, like over the course of a game, perhaps I would bet on the same team 4 or 5 times, and it was because the line was changing. So I thought I was getting value. I thought I was seeing value where other people didn't. And when that loses, all those bets lose at the same time.
JZiggy44 said, first rule of betting is never bet on Najee to make a certain yardage. And another user said to take these losses as a lesson and come back even stronger, man. ThrowawayOne.
That had us in the first half there. Take these losses as a lesson, but then they say to come back, which implies that you can get better at gambling.
Took this to heart. He did, because literally a few hours later, he was ready to bet even more than he did before. He had $10,000 ready to go on DraftKings, and he was looking through the app for his next big winner. The Lakers were playing the Magic, and he figured that betting on the Lakers would be a quick and easy way to recoup his losses. LeBron and Anthony Davis got to work, and things were off to a close but promising start. At the end of the first quarter, it was 36-38. The Lakers were slightly up. After the second quarter, the Lakers extended their lead just a little bit to 7 points. If they kept this up, ThrowawayOne's wound would be healed. Except Franz Wagner wanted him to stay wounded. With 37 total points that game, he was going to do everything in his power to take down LeBron and AD. After the third quarter, the Lakers lost their lead and were now down by 1. At this point, things were pretty much 50-50, and ThrowawayOne was starting to get a little bit more worried. Luckily though, flash forward to the end of the fourth quarter, there were only 18 seconds left, the Lakers were up by 2, and best of all, AD was at the free throw line about to seal the deal. Franz Wagner took that thing back down the court, down by 2 with 15 seconds left. What was he gonna do? And just like that, ThrowawayOne lost another $10,000.
That's how it goes, right? Like whatever you need, quote unquote, to get yourself back to even, like that's when you find those bad beats, right? So people are always like, man, I got so unlucky, I got this bad beat. The truth is, if you keep gambling, things like this are gonna happen. And then you're gonna hyper fixate on them as the reason that everything went to crap. Yeah, I mean, this was a bad decision to chase the losses from the original bets with another bigger bet, which I'm gonna guess the guy really couldn't have afforded to lose. But we're going to hyperfixate on the fact it was a bad beat and call it bad luck, which would imply that we can do better next time. So that's the real danger there, I think.
He posted this loss to the subreddit and said, "Was I stupid for doing this? Yes. Should I have tried to recoup the losses from the Steelers versus Browns game? No. Thank you, Lakers. Losing 10K because of a single point is rough. If only Anthony Davis made that free throw, maybe things would have ended in his favor." But on the bright side, Lou Sassel89 pointed out, "At least you earned enough DraftKings points for like a t-shirt or something though."
This is so fair. This is like, what are the casino incentives, like a toaster or a blender to get you to come in? It's the same thing now with just online. But, what if AD had that point? Would it have made this guy's life better? Would he have stopped? Or would he have then said, you know what? No matter what happens, I can just win it back gambling? Because that's what happened to me. There were plenty of times where I had a crazy win or a big win that kind of allowed me back to even or got the pressure off of me. But all it did was give me an excuse to keep going. And eventually, it all caught up to me and backfired. So maybe the big loss here got this guy to quit, got him on the right path.
Snarky comments aside, ThrowawayOne knew that he was only one bet away from his biggest win ever. Only 4 days later,
Or maybe not.
he decided not to bet 6 or even 10K like last time. He was gonna go big or go home. So he threw $17,000 into 2 parlays on the Ravens game. On his larger parlay, 4 out of his 5 legs looked green. All he needed was Lamar Jackson to get over 200 passing yards. With his luck looking like it was finally ready to turn around, he would potentially profit $30,000 from these 2 parlays. The Ravens locked in the win, and Lamar Jackson failed to get those 200 yards. He averaged about 250 per game that season, but it looks like this game was not it. Welp, with another 17K down the drain, Fry High said, "You'll get it back times 10.
That's the big problem with like Reddit. And I see it with like the Wall Street bet side is like people really just convince you to keep going and going until you're an absolute crash out. And like the worst of the worst has happened. And then they're like, all right, dude, like that's crazy. Let's screenshot that. Let's just repost this and get a bunch of clout for it. But people convince themselves to keep going down this path. And when you go on social media and people are echoing that confirmation bias, they keep telling you, yeah, man, you're one away, keep going. Or yeah, this happened to me too. Like, don't worry, I got it back. That's where a lot of problems come in. And Reddit is the cesspool of that.
You might think that after all this commotion, ThrowawayOne needs a dank break, but no, what he really needs is another parlay. Only a week and a half later, he decided to place his biggest bet yet. He threw 20K into 2 5-leg parlays, and as you can probably guess, these were more losing bets. This time, he was only 7 yards away from making 66,000 though. ThrowawayOne was down over 53,000 in just the past 2 weeks. Some users would tell him to slow down, but he responded with, "Well, this should have been a lock. I was very confident about the Lions winning, so it was never a worry for me. And I assumed Gibbs would at least be able to get to 50. It was funny because I was going back and forth whether I should stick with 40 or 50 for him. But it's whatever." At this point, you would probably hope that ThrowawayOne would just walk away from sports betting forever, or at least stop throwing thousands of dollars away. But what if I told you that he was just getting started? Seriously, only 3 days later, he went on one of the biggest betting sprees I've ever seen. He started off the night by throwing $30,000 on the Buffalo Bills. They were up against the Rams, and with minus 175 odds, he actually had a somewhat decent chance of finally winning a bet. The game went on, and to his surprise, the Bills were actually down 10 by halftime. No way he was gonna lose another 30K. Doing the smart thing, he decided to double down on his bet and throw an additional $15,000 on the Bills now that
That's
the
what I
odds
was
were
talking about
plus
earlier.
135. Would the Bills pull through for the boy and finally give this dude a win? With yet another $45,000 gone, he remembered that whatever happens on DraftKings stays on DraftKings. On the same day, he threw another $16,000 on a 2-leg parlay. Thank goodness the Chiefs pulled through for him, and the Cavs lost by 9 points, so he kissed his 16K goodbye.
Bruh.
He was already down $61,000 for the night, so he figured he may as well keep going for some reason. $10,000 on another 2-leg parlay.
It's really just how much fuel do you have? How much ammo do you have? This is a ridiculous string of bad luck, to be honest. I won't lie about that, but this is what inevitably happens if you keep playing. This is the stuff he's posting, so who knows what was going on leading up to this, but this is like what a crash out usually looks like for someone with a gambling addiction, is like it all goes horribly wrong all at once, and then you have nothing left. We don't know this guy's financial situation, but he is blasting off money.
Rockets sealed the deal, but the Timberwolves didn't pull through.
Of course.
2 more 2-leg parlays, and he lost another $20K. He was officially down $91,000 for the night, but he realized what he had been doing wrong. Instead of getting these little 2-leg parlays, what he really needed were 3-leg parlays. Well, both of these did not hit, and ThrowawayOne was getting ready to throw in the towel. But not until he threw a final $10,000 into a big 4-leg parlay. The Steelers pulled through, the Saints pulled through, the Vikings pulled through. All he needed was the Titans to bring home the bacon. They had minus 500 odds to win the game, so ThrowawayOne was glad that he was most likely about to win 24K. By the third quarter, the Titans were up 6-0. No way the Jaguars were gonna win the game. And just like that, ThrowawayOne lost another $10,000 that night. 111K in one day and 164K over the past 2 weeks is insane, but it doesn't really seem like he learned any lesson. According to him, he is down $1.6 million over the course of his life, and that DraftKings randomly sends him $2K in DraftKings dollars.
That's fascinating. So, okay, so this guy's saying, I've been absolutely blasting off money. Things are going terribly wrong with my gambling, but the casino keeps sending me money because they want me to keep coming back. And I would be so interested to talk to this person, because my thought is that he must be in a situation where he thinks, if I just keep going, it'll work out. This isn't a problem because I'm not experiencing the consequences of it. Like, I guess if you have a lot of money, you might feel like you don't have a gambling addiction because you can afford the losses, but I think that's a big trap. It'd be interesting to hear his perspective, because it sounds like this guy is just so deep into an addiction that he's not going to stop until it's all gone, but we really don't know. And that's the thing with a gambling addiction. It's the hidden addiction. We don't know what this guy's going through. We don't know if this 1.6 million that he's down is life-changing or if it's chump change to him. That's why the dollar amounts are always relative, I guess. But getting sent money randomly just to bet more is like fishing. Like, it's bait on the end of a fishing hook. And he's losing tens of thousands of dollars, and they're tossing some money back like, hey, chump, come on back for more. Crazy story, though.
He says he barely ever wins, and that even after all of this, he was gonna bet 50K on the Bengals game the very next day. Arnold54 is a user who just so happened to place the unluckiest bet of all time. Going way back to January 14th in 2022, the Charlotte Hornets were playing against the Orlando Magic. Barnold bet that the game's total would be under 223 points. By halftime, 124 points were scored, which was a tiny bit more than what Barnold was hoping for, but his bet could still very well pay out. By the third quarter, the game's total was 179 points, and flash forward to the fourth, the total was, coincidentally enough, 222 points. Only 1 point away from ruining his bet. Luckily though, there was only 1 second left in the game, and the Hornets, who were down by 10, were inbounding the ball.
We all know where this is going, right?
So basically, game over. And just like that, Barnold was a big loser. You might think that that's a really sad way.
That's just the kind of stuff that happens when you gamble all the time, right? Like, people are like, oh, dude, that's insane. I remember I was, like, betting at my worst. I was betting on, like, Chinese basketball. Yeah, I know. But it was, like, 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'd be watching it, and, like, just the craziest plays would happen at the end. Like, a team was down 7, and then they dribbled it out with, like, 25 seconds left. They dribbled it out without shooting it. They were just like, we're done. Like, I thought that was like the craziest, unluckiest thing of all time. I think I needed a total in that game as well. But this is just the kind of crap that happens. Like, we can't predict it. Sports betting is just not a way to make money because crazy stuff happens. And we don't know when it's going to happen. You can't build a model. You can't predict when it's going to happen. And you definitely aren't going to find out by buying someone's course online that says they know how to win money. It's all crap.
To go out, but mdalo1990 is a user who went on a betting rampage so big that, well, he ended up on national news. Even though things didn't come to light until this year, Mdalo's story starts back in 2020. This user was married to a woman named Lisa and even had 2 kids. But this crazy year, he hopped on DraftKings and started betting a couple thousand a month, which is a lot, but not enough to really harm his family's living situation yet. Well, flash forward about a year, Mdalo realized that he was getting sick and tired of the rat race. He wanted to strike gold, so he increased the amount of money that he was betting each month.
Because gambling's been pitched as a way to get rich, even though it's like literally a surefire way to get poor.
DraftKings noticed this, and since they're not gonna say no to free money, they flagged him as a lucrative target and invited him to join DraftKings VIP private group. Basically meaning they thought he'd be a lifelong loser on the platform. He had VIP hosts calling and texting him, offering free bets and gifts. Even though he was losing money, for some reason he felt like offering
I think that's hilarious.
free bets.
I think it's hilarious that they used the Squid Game guy as the VIP host, like this evil genius demon person. That's just a good pick.
And gifts. Even though he was losing money, for some reason he felt like he was truly being taken care of. Flash forward another year, Mdalo leveled up to Onyx Elite. Being a part of this new level, DraftKings sent him expensive Apple products, gave him free vacations, and of course, all the DraftKings merch you could ever ask for. You might be asking, hey, you know, it would be pretty cool if DraftKings sent me free iPads and some Vision Pros. How do I get on this list? Well, at this point, Mdalo was betting about $700,000 a year, even though he only made $175K annually. You might be...
And I'm sure that DraftKings also knew that and just said, screw it, that's fine. We'll take whatever money you got, buddy.
Thinking Mdalo is done for, but really, we haven't even gotten to the worst of it yet. Moving on into 2023, he was gambling up to $125,000 a month. Money is no longer real to him. He would max out his wife's credit cards, and get this, even took his kids' money that they saved up from Christmas, birthdays, and even baptisms. If they cared, they could easily cut him off since it's clear he was a problem gambler, but DraftKings kept on sending him gifts and promotions. By 2024, Mdalo had lost $942,000, which is already bad, but even worse considering a lot of it was stolen from his wife and kids. But by this point, the cat was out the bag, and Lisa was furious. She filed a lawsuit against DraftKings alleging negligence and fraud. DraftKings policy requires high-stakes users to actually verify their income, and they just never did. On top of this, things probably wouldn't have gotten so bad if DraftKings wasn't aggressively hitting Mdalo with VIP targeting.
I actually know the lawyer who brought this suit to like courts, and I haven't met the woman personally, but I've heard a lot of stories about her, Lisa. It's a really bad situation, and I think that the debate is like, should DraftKings be held responsible for this guy stealing money, for blasting it away on the platform? And for so long, I think the conversation has been DraftKings is the house. They have no responsibility. They're just taking bets, and it's this guy's fault if he has a problem. And I don't think that 100% of the blame is on DraftKings. I mean, this person was literally stealing from their family, and the addiction reached a point where he was doing terrible things. I don't think that the blame is 100% to 0%. It's way closer to that 50-50 range, because knowing his income, becoming close with him, knowing that he's losing more than he can afford on paper, and continuing to entice him and bring him in, that's not good. That's not responsible. That's not corporate responsibility. That's not following any kind of code of ethics. And, you know, while it might be within the realm of legality, we're going to still find out, I guess, there is a clear showing that it's not 100% to 0% either way. Of course, the one who's really losing here is Lisa and the kids, but it is a sad situation.
What are you doing inside?
Just drinking coffee?
Not gambling?
No, I don't. This is a coffee shop. There's no gambling. I don't want anything.
Lisa and her 2 young kids now are really just left with nothing. Her attorney said, you think you're building a nest egg for yourself and your family, and it turns out it's gone. Since then, nothing has publicly come out about the case, so this is honestly just a tragic story.
I hope that you're able to take some value from hearing my perspective as a gambling addict. A lot of these stories represent greed turned into addiction. And if you're someone who's struggling to stop gambling, then I actually made a video that I think could be really useful for you. you. This is my website where I list recovery resources. It's odatgamblingAwareness.com/resources, but also I'm going to put a link to this video right here on screen. It's a guide on exactly what I did to quit gambling and live a better life. Thank you for watching, and let's keep getting better together, one day at a time.